They say the man who stands closest to power often once stood closest to death. His name is known to almost no one. Not the press, not the officials. On government records, he's listed only as Protocol Shadow 09. But inside the palace, he walks 2 steps behind President Ibrahim Traoré at all times. And 10 years ago, he was sent to kill him. It happened before Traoré became the leader the world now watches with awe and fear. Back then, he was just a captain, sharp-minded, outspoken, and dangerous only in words. But words can threaten empires. Traoré was already calling out foreign control, already organizing military reforms in secret, already rejecting French command chains. Somewhere in the shadows, this caught the wrong attention, and a name was chosen from the list. A man who had worked in 4 countries, spoke 6 languages, and could end a life with no weapon at all. He followed Traoré for weeks. He studied his movements, his allies, his routines. But what broke him wasn't the captain's schedule. It was his silence. Every soldier around Traoré was loud-talking strategy, cracking jokes, shouting orders. But Traoré? Always calm, always watching. One night, during a quiet inspection, Traoré turned to him without ever looking at his face and said, "If you're going to take the shot, take it now. But if you hesitate, you'll spend your life protecting me." And the man froze. He didn't draw, he didn't run. He knelt. From that moment on, he vanished from every official file. Traoré erased his name, burned his past, and rebuilt him into something new. Not a soldier, not a servant, but a shadow, a watcher trained not to strike first, but to ensure no one else could. Today, he leads an elite internal circle so secret, even cabinet members don't know their names. He has taken 3 bullets meant for Traoré. He can speak with a glance. And when rumors spread about coups, infiltrators, or foreign agents, he disappears for 48 hours and returns with silence in his eyes and no questions asked. He is not a myth. He is the consequence of mercy. And in a world where every leader fears betrayal from within, Traoré sleeps with his back to the door because the man who was sent to end him is now the one man who would end the world to keep him alive. It was never supposed to reach his family. That was the unspoken agreement when he switched sides. When the assassin became the protector. When he erased his name to wear a uniform without rank, without voice, without past. But enemies evolve. And one morning in early April, he received a letter hand-delivered, unmarked, folded once. Inside was a photograph. His sister, tied, eyes bruised. Behind her, a note scrawled in red. "Remove Traoré from power, or she dies. You have 48 hours. No warning, no lies, no trace." There were no demands for money, no ideology. This wasn't about leverage. This was punishment. A reminder that in a war for sovereignty, even ghosts have shadows. For a moment, his hands trembled, but he burned the photo within minutes, not to forget, but to remember it forever. Then he vanished from the palace. For 36 hours, no one knew where he had gone. Traoré didn't ask. He only ordered the security grid tightened and quietly removed himself from all public schedules. The guard's absence wasn't questioned. Because when a ghost goes silent, even the wind waits. When he returned, there were scratches on his hands. His shirt was torn in the back, but he didn't limp. He didn't speak. He only handed Traoré a box. Inside was a burner phone, a photograph of the 2 masked men who had taken his sister, and a steel ring, a ring worn only by a certain European intelligence unit known for staging neutralizations in West Africa. Traoré stared at the ring for a long time. Then softly he asked, "Where is she now?" The bodyguard replied, "Safe." He paused, then added, "But I wasn't." And that was all he ever said. Later, reports would emerge of 2 foreign agents found unconscious on the edge of the Ouagadougou market district. No IDs, no fingerprints, and no memory of how they got there. But the presidential security team knew. That night, the guards around Traoré were doubled. But not for fear, for respect, because now everyone understood. The man who once betrayed his mission to protect a stranger had just betrayed his blood to protect that same man again. Not because he was ordered to, but because he believed in something larger than family. He believed in destiny. And in the quiet hours that followed, as Traoré prepared for another public address, he looked over his shoulder and saw the man behind him, steady as ever, scarred but unshaken. He nodded once. The message was clear. You chose me once. You chose me again. Now I will never let them take you. Not until the day I stop breathing. The next morning, a subtle shift occurred in the presidential compound. The air felt heavier, but not from fear, from something unspoken. Traoré walked through the courtyard surrounded by guards, ministers, and whispers, yet all eyes kept drifting toward the man behind him. Not because of his silence, not because of his scars, but because something about him had changed. He was no longer just a bodyguard. He was something else now. A living symbol of what loyalty costs when it's not bought, but chosen. And when Traoré stepped onto the stage that afternoon to address the nation about the threats, the future, the hope still burning in Burkina Faso, the man stood 2 steps behind, expression unreadable, eyes scanning every movement. For the first time, Traoré's voice faltered just for a second. Then he turned slightly, looked back, and said one line not written in his speech. There are those who serve out of duty, and there are those who serve even when duty breaks them. The crowd didn't understand, but one man behind him lowered his head, just for a moment.